is not in her. She's a diamond under her. Wanna lay it down. I'm trying my part. Don't I know?
Hi guys, it's Aleema. Welcome to my channel. If you're new, welcome back. If you're not, Alright, so today's video is going to be a story time. I don't think I've ever done a story time, but we're trying to diversify the content on this channel. So I'm going to be sharing with you why I left Sephora, why I chose to give it my 2 weeks. So if you want to hear about that, then please keep watching. So I started working with Sephora 2016 of November. I just left my other retail job and I was there seasonally, and I worked as a cashier. And when I did the interview, I had to do 3 interviews, but during the interviews I did let them know that I wanted to be move from cash wrap into color, which is the beauty section, you know, the makeup part of Sephora. You have color, skincare, and fragrance, so I wanted to be in color. So they were like, yeah. So yeah, so after the seasonal period was over, you kind of knew who was staying and who was not, by who was still there. They didn't really tell you formally. I was told, like, yeah, they didn't really tell you formally. Really, why I left, just try to concise it. Try to make it very concise for you. Boils down to the environment, management, and something I refer to as the incident. The environment was very you always felt like, at times you felt very neglected about what your needs were. It's always the needs of the store came first, and I understand as a team we're working towards that, but like management and other like leaders and people that are above you have obligations to you in a sense. And when it becomes to like their claims to help you further your artistry and makeup or whatever, certify you and all that, and they're supposed to train you, but training tends to be put on the back burner more times than not when there's, for some reason, when it's busy, there's a big event going on. And sometimes just for, it doesn't seem to be any particular reason that they tell you, it's just there's no one there to do it for you, and there's just, you know, yeah. So at the end of like the season, a lot of us wanted to move into color, and we were feeling kind of like lied to and upset because no one was talking to us and telling us, okay, we're keeping you, we know you want to move into color, it'll happen by this date, we're just working on this right now and waiting for this. Like, no one really talked to you about that. You would have to run after like the leader for color or whoever to try to be like, why am I not moving to where I told you I wanted to be? So, and they try to claim, like, go through this whole thing, like this process of acting like they do that by having this sort of thing that's like a review, but a review is more like telling you you're not doing enough, and that's why you're only making this much more than you did last year. Where a review is like, where do you want to see yourself? What do you want to work on? How are you feeling in your role? And then they'll make plans about how to get you to where you want to be, and then they just never happen. So yeah, before I moved to color, I did, like, I was over it. We moved into a new store, a bigger store. That added to more stress because then now it was a bigger volume store. We had more money to make, and that just means you had to increase the amount of productivity that you were giving the store. So they wanted you to ring faster, because I was a cashier at the time. So they would come and stand there and watch you ring. Like, they would just be standing in the corner watching the cash wrap and the line. And ever since the store got bigger, there was always a line. Even to the time I left, there would be lines. That didn't really bother me so much because I was used to being a cashier at that time. I was trained at my other job how to ring in 2 minutes or less. So even at one point, I was told by one of the leaders that I was the fastest cashier and I pulled in X amount of money because I was the fastest cashier. So, but you know, that kind of doesn't end up coming back at you in your review though. interestingly enough. So after a while, I was like over it. I don't think I was getting that much hours anyway. Like it was during the summer. It was like one of those times where you weren't getting much money. They were constantly like, you were constantly hearing something negative, and you just wanted to be. I was just like, I was over it. So I'm like, tried to put in my 2 weeks to one of the managers that I knew, because I knew her previously in my other job, and she was trying to convince me not to go. Like, she got my actual direct manager, and they convinced me to stay. Stupid me. So I stayed, and I don't even know what happened after that. It's like a blur. This is my second time trying to do this video. So I stayed. Fast forward, eventually a few months later, I end up being put in color. I took color 101 before we moved into the new building, but I didn't take color 2, which was supposed to. They made it so that it ended in you getting certified, and it was a 3-day long, 3 or 2 days. I think a 2-day long training that ended in you getting certified at the end of that training. The first time I took that, everyone from our store failed. Second time I took it, I think there's only two other people that was with me in like our session. Yeah, she failed. We failed together. So I never got certified from Sephora, because it was like if you think of the show Chopped, the cooking show, it was like that. It was like you had a certain amount of products for like everyone that was in the room. There was a lot of us in that room. A selective amount of skin, like foundation colors. And it's just like, why is there only like 3 translucent powders? Yet there's like 40, 50 of us. So you have to put it in a napkin, and we all had to share it. If someone took the whole thing, you had to go looking for it. There was like a certain number of eyeshadow palettes. Like, it was very stressful, on top of the fact that to find the product, on top of the fact that you had to do this person's makeup exactly how the person who's judging it wants it. Like, well, like they made it seem like, oh, the client's gonna choose, but basically they wanted a certain look. They wanted it to look a certain way. Like, it couldn't be like a neutral look. It couldn't be an easy look. It had to be something different. So, and then you also had to treat the client, like treat the employee that you are working on as a client, and like talk to them and teach them, which, you know, it's role playing is something that's not necessarily my forte. So I was too busy focused on getting his makeup right that she loved his makeup, but it was like you weren't selling that much. And Sephora's focus is more of a business. You know, it doesn't focus that much on artistry. If we don't focus that much on artistry, why am I doing this right now? So I didn't get certified that third time, and I think, yeah, okay, so that was the second to last time I tried to get certified. But then after that, when I was in color, they would constantly pull me to do certified makeovers, and I wasn't certified, and the people would like it, and I would get all these compliments, but no one would ever certify me. And that was another thing, is that they would certify people based off of work that they see them do, but it was just like they would certify certain people. There was only a select few that they were certified that way, and I feel like that wasn't fair. If there's a set way of doing things, then that's the way you should do it. You shouldn't pick and choose who you're gonna do certain things for and who you're not going to. So that annoyed me. The last time that I tried to get certified, they said you couldn't use models from this, because they had time to make you pull models from the store. Like, you would ask people, and they would like say yes, and let them know that it'll take about an hour. So apparently someone complained, and so now they were like, you can't use models from the store, you have to bring in your own. So I was told an exact day that I would need one by. So I was like, alright. I got my sister to come. My sister came the day of, when I told them, okay, like, my sister's coming, you know, like, where are we doing my certification? They completely forgot. They were like, it's an event day. And I was like, my sister's already on her way, so figure it out. Like, what do you mean? So they were like, okay. So at first they put me at the table at one of the seats at the beauty studio, but then they moved me to the back in this like corner that you're not supposed to be in, because it's like the electrical part of the back, and there's like, it says nothing's supposed to be in the space, and it's like a fire hazard and whatever. So we ended up going there instead of one of the other rooms that they had back there. Like, they had like little changing rooms that sometimes they put stuff in. Could have went in there, because where I had was like limited lighting. I had like one light right above me. And even when I was applying blush, I had to use my phone's flashlight. So even that in itself shows that there is a problem here, because this is not a setting, this is not a scenario I would be in if I was in the store just doing a CM like normal. So I finished on time, despite having to be moved, despite having to run out to get product, despite having to use product that was only in the stock room, testers in the stock room, instead of pulling it from the floor. Like, that's... She was like, oh, well, you know, she when I finished a little bit early, she's like, you have 3 things you need to fix. So after I fixed those 3 things that she told me to fix, she was like, yeah, I'm not passing you because you had to fix those 3 things. It's like, so why didn't you just tell me that from the beginning? So, like, why did you make me fix it and then tell me? Like, that irritated my soul to know. And after that, I was like, fuck this. I'm not. No, because really, what does Sephora certification get you outside of Sephora? Nothing. Nothing. It's not like it's a state certification that you can take anywhere or use on your own if you're freelancing. So fuck that. I was like, listen, whatever. Honestly, because I would do this whole situation that I had to go through just now just for you to start nitpicking. But then, like, I liked most of my coworkers, not all of them, because of the environment I was in, which we're getting into that. There would be people who would get certified at the beauty studio, and their makeup would come out like, I never said anything about their makeup, but people said things to me about the makeup that they did. And it's not necessarily that they didn't do good work, but sometimes they would use products that irritated the client's skin, because they didn't know, like, you're supposed to figure out these things and what they can and cannot use, and then do their skincare, like prep their skin before you apply their makeup to make sure that the makeup looks nice. And if you don't prep it right, then the makeup's not going to look nice. And that's the situation where for that person that happened, and they still passed them. And I'm just like, that's like a really big thing, because now that person's makeup is not going to look nice for the event that they're going to. I'm getting a little heated because that was really annoying. So I was like, okay, wow. I was like, whatever, I don't want to be certified anyway, because you know what, the beauty studio is a hot mess. You guys never have enough people for the amount of chairs you have open. I don't know why you don't work with the schedule you're making for the amount of people you're allowed to schedule. So yeah, and the environment. A lot of my coworkers were really petty, really catty for no reason. It's just makeup. I'm not interested in taking your spot. You can have it. I don't care. But they would just be really nasty for no reason. But majority of them I did like. That's probably the reason why I stayed so long, because I really liked my coworkers. The environment would be stressful in the sense that they would always, like, sometimes there wouldn't be enough coverage, and then they would expect you to do the work of 4 people who are not there. And it's just like during one of the semi-annual sales just before I quit, and I quit in May of 2019, I was fasting. It was during Ramadan, and everything was crazy. I was getting really stressed out to the point where I was getting dizzy. I was getting nauseous, because also around that time I went to the doctor and found out, well, no, was it around that time or the year before? While working at Sephora, like, it was in 2018, I think, or 2019. Yeah, I think 2018 I was, like, diagnosed, so I guess so. I found out that I had, the doctor told me, you have mild gastritis, so that's why I was feeling nauseous a lot, but it's just, like, a lot of acid in my stomach. So, and then when I, like, tried to find ways to, like, you know, help it or whatever, besides medication, and it says one of the main things to do is to reduce the amount of stress you're feeling, which was hard to do while working at Sephora. So I would have to be like, you know, can I sit down? Can I take a minute? Like, because I just, no, I was getting dizzy. It was just too much. So I just didn't like that, and it just didn't seem like anyone in management really understood exactly the effect of what they're doing, exactly the effect of the environment. Because I understand there's pressure on them too, but at the same time, they would expect more from us than they would expect from themselves, which is kind of ridiculous. like having the schedule up on time. When it's time for like, if there's a shift in our like day-to-day, like whether we had to go to an event, like as cast members, we had to go to the Kat Von D. We had Kat Von D training because we won a competition, and we had to bring our brushes with us. It wasn't until we're getting checked out to leave the building that they're saying, oh, you have to take pictures of your brushes because you're taking them on the Sephora property, this, that, and the other. And we're like, why is no one conveying this information? They're like, oh, be patient with us, this, that, and the other. Like, this is your job. No. Because if I don't do my job, and I said be patient with me, you're going to be, no. When we had, like, store meetings at, like, 6 in the morning, get there, and then some people's shift would, like, be a little bit longer than the store meeting, and they would be told by certain members of management that, oh, that was just in case the meeting ran over, so they won't come with their costumes, and a lot of them had to go right home. But in actuality, the reason why they were scheduled like that was that because people had to start working right after the meeting, and they were supposed to go on break after the meeting, so those people could cover their shifts for 45 minutes, and then those people would come and then they would leave. So they didn't have a lot of coverage because a lot of those people didn't stay. And then they wanted you to sign a form if you didn't stay. It's like, no, I'm not taking the rap for your, like, whether or not, no, I'm not fixing your mistake. That's you handle that. That's not my business. No. And then when we get to the incident, so one time I came in, I was working, it was a morning shift, it was slow. I get called to the back by my manager. She said she wants me to come in the back with her. I follow her. She lets me into the room, she shuts the door, she leaves. And inside that room is 2 of the LP agents, loss prevention. So but they're not the ones that I deal with on a day-to-day basis that I know. They're the higher ones. So they're like the manager and then like someone above him. And the one that's talking to me is the manager, and he's the other one, the one that's above him, she's like on the computer, but she's in the room, so she's listening. So he's like making conversation, not really like, you know, oh, you moved into color in less than a year, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, why'd you want to move into color? And then he started telling me about like what the cameras can do and like that they have, and how they can read like words off a box and this, that, and the other. And then he's like, before we start this, I just want to know, we know everything, we just wanted to know why. And I'm like, okay. He started asking me about a time when I went shopping in I don't know if I want to say this location. I went shopping in Manhattan with one of my friends, and one of my friends, me and him, we always go shopping together whenever we meet up, but somehow, for some reason, we both live in New York, but we see each other like twice a year, and maybe not even less since he moved. So we was just doing what we normally do. We were shopping, looking around. I think we picked up some L'Occitane hand lotions, and he was holding them. And L'Occitane hand lotions are like this big, and there was, you know, he was just holding them. We were browsing before we went to check out. So as we were walking around, an employee comes up to us, hands us, and asks us if we want a basket. My throat's really sore, so I'm talking really fast, so I'm trying to get this video done. Alright, so they asked us if we want a basket. My friend declines. He's not rude about it at all. He just says no thank you and keep walking. Then as we're walking by, I noticed that the man that tried to hand us the basket, he has a pin that says director in charge. So it's about a year ago, because Sephora recently changed that terminology. That essentially means that he is in charge of the floor right now. He's the manager that's in charge. If anything happens, he's the one that calls. If a client needs to talk to the manager, he's the one that they call. So I was like, you should really take the basket, because now they're watching us. You know, that's it, because I know that's what happens. That's what happens in Sephora. If you don't take it, they offer you a basket and you don't take it, a lot of the times they'll call it out. And then you have LP watching you and all the other employees, you know, watching you. So my throat, wow. So after that, he was like, I don't care, I don't want a basket for 2 things. So we got on the line, right? And then because I was paying, someone else came to ring me up, like but I don't know whether she wasn't cash app coordinator because she wasn't at the cash app, but I think it was another manager. She came over. She had a really bad attitude. Excuse me. So she came over and rang me up. I didn't make anything up. I paid. I left. Nothing happened. So now he's asking me about this. He said you were with a male associate. He tried to say my friend's name, but he messed it up. So like he was trying to scare me. So I corrected him on how to pronounce his name properly. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, oh, a couple Sephora collection brushes went missing and this, that. And I was like, what happened to the brushes? And he was just looking at me. And I was looking at him like, what exactly are you accusing me of right now? Couldn't say anything because if Sephora wrongly accuses you of stealing, then you can sue them. I forgot what he asked me. Oh, would your friend ever have any need? Would he ever steal brushes? This was like in the middle of summer that we went shopping. And I was like, no, he doesn't wear makeup. He has no use for the brushes. And quite frankly, he's not the person, the type to steal anything. Back. That was my alert beauty box, but that's not what this video is about. So yeah. So I was like, he's not the type of person to steal anything. If you can't afford it, he believes that, you know, you should just buy what you can afford. So I was like, did anyone, like, who stole the brushes? Like, I don't understand. It's the middle of summer, so I was wearing like a dress or whatever. My friend, I believe he was wearing like shorts, like where Sephora collection brushes, where was these brushes going? In whose pocket was this long ass, like, I don't. So I was getting very irritated, very annoyed. Oh, they started asking me about the lady. I was like, yeah, she had an attitude, but I didn't really think. They're like, oh, next time you should let us know because we want everyone's experience. I'm just like, want everyone's experience to be good and whatever. I was like, whatever. So eventually they let me go. And I started texting my friend, and he was like, I was like, you know, Sephora started asking me about you, you know, about stealing brushes and stuff like that. And he was like, excuse me? Like, why else? Like, you know, rightfully offended. So I wanted to talk to, like, who did I want? I wanted to talk to, like, the district manager about it. But at first, when I tried to reach out to one of the HR managers, she was like, no, talk to one of the store managers. Because we have in that store there were 3 store managers. Let's talk to one of the store managers first. I don't know why I thought they would do anything, but for some reason I thought they would. So talk to her. She seemed very sympathetic and understanding. She's like, okay, yeah, I'll talk to the district manager with you. So when a few weeks passed, and eventually she managed to set up a meeting with the 3 of us. I told her, she was very not understanding at all. She was like, well, it's their job, they're supposed to question you, this, that. And I was like, oh, you know, when you see like these like crime shows, don't you know that they question people and that and whatever. And I was very irritated because, first of all, LP is not the police. LP is not the police. LP is not the police. I don't care. Like, no. Why would they spend so much time investigating? Because that, from the summer to freaking November, because I remember it was November that they questioned me. How many months just to not see that I took anything? Why would you even ask me if you didn't see anything? Because if you saw something, then I would be fired. She's like, alright, we just won't talk about it anymore or whatever. Because I was getting really angry. And when I get angry, I start to cry. That irritates the hell out of me. So I reported it to iCare, which is like this service that's available if you see anything as an insider in Sephora to report, whether you see people stealing or like anything bad happening. So I reported it, and a few weeks later I saw this man when I came in for like a closing shift, and I saw this man talking to the male LP agent that was questioning me, and he was like, I don't know who thought this was okay. Like, that's what I heard as I was putting my stuff in the locker. And I was like, interesting. I was like, let me mind my business and go clock in because it's time for me to start my shift. So I left, and I was at Fenty color matching, and at that time I was usually at Fenty color matching. So I'm like doing whatever, minding my business, helping people find their foundation shade, and the man that was questioning the LP agent and the LP agent come by, and they're just walking by the gondola staring at me. Like, no, not even saying hello, you know, just looking at me. So I'm just like, okay. I don't know what happened of that. I never got any clarification. No one ever reached out to me again to figure out what happened with that. But I did end up hearing through someone that the male LP agent got fired. Well, no, he was told to quit unless he got fired, so he resigned. And I am not gonna say that was because of me, because it most likely wasn't, because Sephora doesn't give a. But yeah. So that is pretty much why I quit. I can only speak from my experience in my store. I don't know how it is at other stores, but I do know a lot of people left my store since I left. And some people left around the same time that I left. I didn't even realize. So yeah, I just thought it was very funny that, you know, Sephora came out with that campaign that we are part of something beautiful. But as a person working for Sephora, I didn't see anything beautiful about it. So please give this video a thumbs up if you liked my story time. There's like a few more stories that I had in there originally, but I cut it down because I just wanted to be mainly focused on Sephora. And if you want to hear some more, let me know, because I do have more stories. Subscribe before you leave. Please leave a comment. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.